Good morning, everybody. We are going to call this meeting to order for the commissioners. We will start with a pledge of allegiance, and Eric, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cammie, would you mind a roll call, please?
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Pat Tarswell.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Sharon Trask.
I'm here.
Any correspondence or organizational business, Cammie?
We have correspondence. Sorry. Oops, that's me. Sorry about that. Okay. We received Planning Advisory Commission application from William Bezenson. Received notice of cannabis license application from Happy Farms LLC, Emerald Sea of Green, and Higher Ground Cannabis LLC. Received correspondence from Ron Glowen regarding Mason County's appointment to the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees. We received press release from Central Mason Fire and EMS regarding live fire training burn April 29th and 30th, 2026. Received letter from the City of Bremerton regarding MOU with Mason County for sewer service. Received correspondence from Melody Wolf regarding Plain Leaf Kratom. Received correspondence from Heather Weaver regarding wake boat ban, concerns of Mason Lake impact. Received correspondence from Margaret Colvin regarding Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees.
All right, thank you. Now is the time we will have open public forum for citizens' comments. These comments need to be about things that are not on the agenda, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And please state your name and step up to the podium.
Reverend Bill Baker. So good morning to all of you, and may God bless each of you with peace, wisdom, courage, and understanding as you strive to carry out the duties and responsibilities that your office demands. I know that it is not an easy task, and that doing the right thing is seldom the easy thing, and hardly, if ever, will the right thing satisfy the wants of all the people in your care. As I said, I am the Reverend Bill Baker, pastor of Mount Olive Lutheran Church here in Mason County. I live in Mr. Netherland's district. Our church is in Ms. Trask's district, and Mr. Tarswell, well, everybody knows Mr. Tarswell. Today it is my privilege and honor to announce to you that Mount Olive is now 100 years old, and we are commemorating 100 years established in Mason County, 100 years of creating connections in Christ and community, 100 years of serving the people of Mason County, and 100 years serving the city of Shelton, the county seat. Clearly, we are well established within this community, and we care about our community, and we are committed to this, our community, and I thank God Almighty, the supreme authority over His church and over the civil realm, that He has sustained us both for so long. And in that providence, we are partners in His plan, each of us according to His will to protect and to care for all His people for their benefit. And no, that is not an easy task for neither pastor nor public servant. Driving our roads, visiting our parks, enjoying our vast waterfronts, lakes, rivers, and creeks, it is easy to see so much need of some of the people. But we must look beyond that and care for the needs of all the people, and that includes the homeowners, the business owners and entrepreneurs, the workers fulfilling their vocations, and the families who want to enjoy the many benefits of our local communities. It includes all those whose home this was before us, and all the visitors who seek to experience the great Northwest, especially Mason County. I pledge to work with you in that endeavor to the best of my ability and according to my conscience, that, with the help of God, together we create a better tomorrow for all who are here today. Yes, I do know how difficult your task is, and so I pray for you continually. And we pray within our congregation, and so also I pray for you now. Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, grant your mercy and peace upon these your servants. Grant them your wisdom, grant them your protection, grant them perseverance, and grant them peace. Guide them always to the right path, that through them your people would thrive. We give thanks for the blessing of living in such an earthly paradise, and may we never forget the freedom and liberties we enjoy that accompany this county, state, and nation. And grant to your church the opportunity to glorify your name and reveal to the people how to live their best lives according to your great plan. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments not having to do with the agenda?
I had to read the agenda to make sure. My name is Susan Kirchhoff, Executive Director and founder of the Youth Connection. We are continuing, I just wanted to update, we're continuing to make progress on our building project. We are set to hopefully, if all the dots cross and the i's connect, mid-July. That's our goal. The expansion will increase our capacity to serving young people in Mason County through the 12-unit transitional housing, and a dedicated community free space for youth can safely connect to services. As we head into the summer, I've been reflecting on how we carry out our mission of making connections and changing lives for youth 12 to 24. We serve young people who are navigating instability, homelessness, or disconnection from school, family, and employment. There's often confusion around the definition of youth. We get asked that a lot. Under the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development guidelines define youth as up to age 24, including unaccompanied minors and young adults 18 to 24. But Washington State defines it in a various way, generally to identifying youth as 18 or up to 21 for certain programs such as foster care or specialized services, which is the primary demographic of the young people we serve coming out of foster care or systems of care. Our model reflects the reality that young people do not fit into a neat one system. Services must bridge those gaps, and that's what we try to do. In March alone, we supported 2 young people into moving into their own homes. We helped 3 secure employment. We actively worked at connecting several youth back into school systems, which has been a really big issue. And we've also reunified some with their families, which is kind of, again, another struggle. Every one of these outcomes starts the same way, by us building trust and consistent relationships that allow us to work through real barriers. And one of the most basic things that the young people have told us is their food insecurities. And that's one of the reasons the Youth Connection provides a meal every day. And that's only possible through the donations of individuals and community partners, such as the food bank, who we partner with quite a bit. For these young people, they've shared with us it's the only home-cooked meal they get every day. Sharing a meal is not just about food. It is one of the most effective ways we can build trust, create communication, and show young people they are seen and valued. That connection is what allows everything else to happen: housing, employment, education, and long-term stability. And the ultimate goal is preventing young people from being chronic homeless. And I just want to say thank you to Mason County for always supporting us in that area.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Well, I see, Ken, you're next up online. Ken Van Buskirk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ken Van Buskirk from Belfair. I read the correspondence from Mayor Wheeler and regarding the memorandum of understanding with Mason County for sewer service.
And that's an item on the agenda?
It is?
Well, I guess it's not. Forgive me. Go ahead.
Yeah. I read that correspondence, and I'm disappointed that Mason County didn't follow through in a timely manner on that. And I hope that you reconsider and try to collaborate with the city and our state representatives for this important infrastructure project. The majority of future development should be focused on the plateau above Belfair where the sewer plant is. This is something I've been advocating for over 20 years, so I hope you reconsider, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online? I don't see anybody, so I think we will close the public forum. And we'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move for adoption of today's agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It's not opposed. The agenda is adopted. We have an adjustment to the minutes. I think you both have received copies. And this is for the public's consumption. There was something left out for the minutes, and that has been updated, so I could entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the April 13th and April 20th, 2026 briefing minutes, the April 14th, 2026 amended regarding code enforcement minutes, and April 14th, 2026 elected officials meeting minutes.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for April 13th and 20th, 2026 briefing minutes. The April 14th amended regular meeting minutes, and the April 14th, 2026 elected official meeting minutes.
Just a correction, if I may, the amendment is on the elected officials meeting minutes.
Oh, you're right, it is.
You are right.
Thank you for that correction. So the motion, well, I guess you need to remake the motion.
All right, I will remove the original motion, if that's okay with the second. All right. So I move that we approve the April 13th and 2026 briefing minutes, the April 14th, 2026 regular minutes, and the April 14th, 2026 elected official meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for April 13th and 20th, 2026 briefing minutes, the April 14th, 2026 regular minutes, and the April 14th, 2026 elected official meeting minutes as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We will now read through the action agenda, and anyone can remove any item for further discussion that they choose to, the commissioners or members of the public. And I've got 10 up, so Commissioner Trask, if you'll take the first 3, I will take 4 through 7, and Commissioner Netherland, if you will take 8, 9, 10.
All right, Mr. Chair. Approval of warrants, item 8.1, approval of warrants and treasurer electronic remittances, claims clearing fund, warrants number 8120205 through 8120744 in the amount of $1,678,283.10. Direct deposit fund, warrants number 125071 through 125482 in the amount of $980,957.66. Salary Clearing Fund, warrants number 7009598 through 7009637 in the amount of $1,395,274.50. Item 8.2, approval to reappoint Catherine Diane McLean to the Board of Equalization for a 3-year term expiring May 30th, 2029. Item 8.3, approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 26th at 9:15 a.m. to consider and take comment on adopting a wake-enhanced motorboat operation ordinance.
Item 8.4, approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 26th, 2026 at 9:15 a.m. to consider and take comment on the ordinance amending Mason County Code Chapter 6.64, Group B, Water System Regulations. 8.5, approval for the Public Works to execute an amendment to the Washington State Department of Transportation, WSDOT, Utility Construction Agreement for the State Route 302 SR 32 Victor Creek Project. Item 8.6, approval to set public hearing for Tuesday, May 26th at 9:15 to consider and take comment on the ordinance amending Mason County Code Chapter 9.48 Outdoor Burning Program. And item 8.7, approval of North Mason Regional Fire Authority, NMRFA, Systemic Clinical Services Contract Amendment Number 4.
Mr. Chair, item number 8.8 reads approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 at 9:15 a.m., at which the Board of County Commissioners will sit as the Board of Equalization to consider the final assessment roll for Shetland Road Improvement District, which is an RID number 2024-01, and approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 at 9:15 a.m. to consider establishment of a road into County Road System and Speed Limit for Shetland Road Improvement District, RID number 2024-01. Item number 8.9, approval of the resolution adopting the Mason County Language Access Plan. Item number 8.10, approval of the budget amendment to the real estate excise tax, REIT 2, funds to make payment to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the USACE, for the county's portion of preliminary engineering and design, the PED, phase cost share agreement for ecosystem restoration projects within the Skokomish Valley, and authorize the same for the construction phase payment request once received.
Thank you. Any items that you would like removed for further discussion?
I have a feeling because there's a misconception what today is, I think we need to take item 8.3 off for the moment so that they'll have an opportunity to talk and we can tell them what we have also.
Okay. I also was going to comment, which one of those? Yeah, I didn't have a pen, so I did. All right. Any comments? All right, we will remove item 8.3 so that everybody can make a comment on that particular item. And with that being removed, is there anything anybody in the audience would like removed? Hearing none. Anybody online have any items they would like removed for further discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the action agenda in its entirety with the exception of 8.3, which is removed for a separate discussion. And I will have one comment of thanks.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to, moved and seconded to approve the action agenda as presented, removing item 0.3 for further discussion. Any more discussion?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair, a thank you to Catherine Diane McLean for stepping up and serving on the Board of Equalization for another 3-year term. Our people are our strongest asset, and that includes the citizens. And this is an opportunity where they stand up to be there so that they can watch over everybody's assessments and make sure they're correct. That's what the Board of Equalization does. So thank you to that citizen for doing that.
Commissioner?
Yeah, I'd also like to recognize 8.7 and tell North Mason Regional Fire Authority how much I appreciate them. And to let them know that I look forward to more exciting things from North Mason.
All right. Any further comment? It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. With that, we will move into other business. Department heads?
Item 8.3.
Sorry.
And she'll be the staff that presents.
And Mackenzie will,
That's right. Thank you. Item 8.3.
she'll gladly present that.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mackenzie Smith, Clerk of the Board. I am stepping in for the County Administrator, Travis Adams. So this item essentially is the Commissioners received a lot of complaints about wake-enhanced boats and the property damage that causes. Today they are simply setting the public hearing for Tuesday, June 26th. You're more than welcome to give comment today. If you choose, you can always come back for the public hearing as well. You can write in any comment for us to read or to add. I guess that's where I will let you guys take over.
All right. We may have questions, but I don't think so.
Ooh, gosh, I hope there's no questions because I may not be able to answer them, but I would do my absolute best.
Well, it'd be questions on a presentation anyway.
Any questions? All right.
Just a clarification, the date of the next meeting for the boat enhancement is May
May.
26th?
May
You're
26th
correct.
is the,
Absolutely, May 26th at 9:15 a.m.
yeah, that'll be the public hearing. But you can comment on it in just a moment if you care to. Anybody online have any questions for staff? Seeing none.
I have a question and clarification.
Sure. State your name, please.
Doug Stankovich, owner 880 West Lakeside Drive, Shelton.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, any and all discussion essentially will be held for the public hearing on the 26th of next month, is that correct?
Correct.
All we're doing today is clarifying that we're going to have that meeting?
Yes, setting the public hearing. Correct.
Okay. And I wrote in yesterday, and among some other things, I mentioned a suggestion that I see that there's two other proposed agenda meetings or proposed agenda items for that public hearing. And I would simply like to suggest that we consider a separate meeting for this particular subject because it's going to have a lot of contentious statements from for and against, I imagine. You got some type of burn regulation and a water system requirement
Correct.
on the agenda for that day as well.
Well, those have already been approved, so those will still stick on that date, but we'll make time for everybody to have their say.
And that meeting won't have the 15-minute limit for
The
public comment?
public comment has no 15-minute limit. What we have done is we limit the length of time that your testimony is to 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Hearing none. So now we can ask for comments. Anybody want to get up and make a comment while you have the opportunity about that particular ordinance?
Then, Mr. Chair, I will make a motion.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 26, 2026 at 9:15 a.m. to consider and take comment on adopting a wake enhancement motorboat operation ordinance.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt, or we approve the time of the public hearing for Tuesday, May 26th, 2026 at 9:15 to consider and take comments on adopting a wake-enhanced motorboat operation ordinance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now we can move on to the next item. So, other business and department heads. Any elected officials that want to get up and make a comment?
And if anybody wants to skip out, go ahead. It's all right.
I got one question. Will that meeting be here?
Yes.
Okay.
Same time, same place.
Okay.
Seeing none, I don't see anybody online. All right. Hearing no other business. We have a public hearing to consider the South Mason Fire District territory. So we will be entering into that public hearing. This is where I'm new to this, so.
Ask staff to come up and present.
Yeah. Would staff come up, Mackenzie, and present what we.
Good morning again. Mackenzie Smith, Clerk of the Board, filling in for the County Administrator, Travis Adams. So on January 7th, the South Mason Fire Protection District Number 4 held a properly noticed public hearing and adopted 3 resolutions in accordance with the appropriate RCW. The district then certified the authenticity of these resolutions and provided formal written notice to the county on January 12th as required by the appropriate RCW. Upon receipt of the notice, the role of the Board of County Commissioners is to provide public notice, conduct a public hearing, and make the determination required under RCW 5728-080 as to whether the Commission finds an affirmative and in agreement with the district the 2 statutory conditions as set forth. If the BOCC does not make an affirmative finding, the matter proceeds in accordance with RCW 5728-090. There are 3 motions that you can make today. 1 affirming what the fire district has brought forward, 1 denying what the fire district has brought forward, and the option to continue the public hearing to Tuesday, May 26, 2026 at 9:15 a.m.
Oh, it gets worse.
So in your packets, you will find all of the listed RCWs, the memo, the letter of certification, and the resolutions from South Mason Fire and Rescue, as well as 2 draft ordinances, should you decide with one of those first motions.
Okay. So now would be the time for public testimony, or any questions for staff first.
That was my oh please no questions
Seeing none, any questions for staff online? Seeing none. All right, now we'll open it up for public testimony. Please try and keep your testimony at 10 minutes or less.
Good morning, Commissioners. You have to forgive me, I have a lung infection. Some people might say a lack of oxygen to the brain, but I already coughed on a fire commissioner because you could imagine I'm not very happy with them. This is really a matter of life and death. It's actually racism disguised in lies. I want to tell you a story about when I was a kid and hearing my parents talk about some businesses that we couldn't go into because there was a sign on the door that said, "We don't serve Indians." This is actually what's going to happen to my community if this is allowed, if this is approved. We imagine knowing that your neighbors can get assistance, but you can't. I have to ask for your forgiveness because of being short of breath. I can't speak very long, but I just wanted to come here and beg you not to approve this and share my disappointment in the fire commissioners and really the fire chief. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, please state your name.
I want you to state your names for the record.
For the record.
I'm sorry, I forgot that part.
Yeah, that's,
Can you do it right here?
yeah.
My name is Vicky Kruger. I'm a Squaxin Island tribal elder.
Thank you. Anyway,
Go ahead, Josh.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlene Kreis. My family has lived in the area of Camochi for thousands of years. I am a Squaxin Island tribal member of the Medicine Creek Nation, and I'm here today because of Mason County for coming to my house and helping me to breathe because I had a really severe asthma attack. And the people are so good and they're such professionals that it just kind of grieved me thinking we're not going to be part of them. And we always have the greatest respect for the work they do because they come across some tough areas and yet they're still there. I'm just really sad to hear about this move. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Beverly Hawks, and I am a resident of Mason County. I've also been almost a lifelong resident of Camelchi. And I've lived there when we didn't have a fire district. And it's true what my sister Charlene had said. I'm not here to say how wonderful it is to have it there, but it is. I'm here because it concerns me that the fire district wants to withdraw on our behalf because they believe it's going to benefit my tribe. I would like to know how that benefits my tribe because of all the things Charlene has said and because of all the times that I have witnessed in the surrounding area, not just on the reservation, This is a rural community, and we've had to wait for emergency services. And it is true, life and death. We've had a relationship with them. And I know there's probably some areas that maybe my leaders were a little bit short, but you guys know that your agenda is full and sometimes things can't be done in a timely manner. But I think that the leaders of my tribe and that fire district have negotiated contracts and things before. So why can't we just be good neighbors and negotiate, compromise, disagree, and come up with an MOU that we can all live with? Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
My name is Joshua Whitener. I'm a tribal member. I've lived in the Fire District for most of my life, majority of it. I'm a resident. I'm also the tribal council treasurer for Squaxin Island Tribe, so I speak for the community. I believe that ultimately neither the tribal properties, the patrons, the residents, or the local residents benefit from a redistricting. Our fire station adequately serves southern Mason County, including Camilche Point, Camilche Valley, Lynch Road, residents, and they shorten those wait times, both for our community and the community surrounding. In negotiations, we've settled on metrics. We've had discussions on annual fees for services. We've reached a mutual look at call volume, budgets, and other factors. We're very close to signing an agreement, MOU. To do a withdrawal when we are so close to an agreement is clearly an emotional decision by the fire district. It's important to remember that the relationship with the Fire District 4 and the Squaxin Island Tribe is long-standing and larger than the fire commissions, our council, all of the people involved. It's about our community and working together. I've seen this relationship in action with collaboration between our emergency management staff and the previous fire commissioner. This is a relationship we've had for decades and decades, and it makes no sense to put a stain on that relationship with a withdrawal at this time. I urge you to deny the request. We want to continue a healthy partnership with the fire district and its heroes while we support their budget. We shouldn't put a stain on that partnership. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Maria Littleson, and I'm a descendant of the Skokomish tribe, and I've also served our Squaxin Island tribal elders for the past decade in our Adult Protective Services program and also our Elders Meal Site program. I'm currently the manager of that program. I can say in my last 10 years working on the Hill that I have personally seen many lives saved every year by our Fire District 4 people. And our folks there are partners. They're my team members. These are folks that I can't do my job without properly. These are the folks that when we get phone calls at midnight and nobody's there to meet me, they meet me. And I personally witnessed a fire on our trailer complex, our Elders trailer complex. And I don't know if you've ever seen a trailer burn or how fast it burns, and if you know exactly where our fire department is located and where these trailers are located, but it melted the siding off of the trailers around it before people got up the hill. It concerns me. Those are my folks that are in wheelchairs. Those are my folks that are on oxygen. Those are the most vulnerable people and also our most valuable people in our communities. I just want to strongly urge you guys to consider the time that this is life or death, that when people are septic, when people are facing crisis, that every minute counts. And that for teams like mine, it keeps us safe. Safety is paramount. And I really hope that the fire district knows how much we appreciate them and that we're very grateful to have their services and that we would like to continue in that fashion. And I really hope that we can get close to an agreement, like Josh said. That's really going to be paramount. And I really lays here at our leadership to help us with that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you all.
Anyone else care to comment?
You couldn't get up any slower, Matt. That was.
Well, I want to make sure everybody has their time. Well, good morning, commissioners. My name is Eric Quinn. I am General Counsel to South Mason Fire and Rescue, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of said district. I'm joined today by numerous members of the district. Commissioners Bennett, Commissioner Gardner, and Commissioner Sipnicki, also joined by Fire Chief Gregory Rudolph, Assistant Chief Jess Fulkerson, and Director of Finance Jenna Armsberry. So, before I begin getting into the details, what I would like to talk to the Commission about is the concept of statutory duty and the concept of service. So, pursuant to Title 52 RCW, what is a fire district for? Fire districts are formed for purposes of providing fire protection, emergency medical services, and the protection of life and property. Interestingly, though, we have to consider that the Title 52 RCW was enacted in 1939 when fire districts were designed to serve solely rural communities. And through the decades, through the years, the statute has been amended many times to afford fire districts the flexibility to adjust to modern times, service demands, and revenue limitations. Consequently, the decision to withdraw territory from the boundaries of a fire district is not only authorized by law, it is taken into consideration after months of deliberation, public hearings, drafting of agendas, drafting of resolutions, consultation with legal counsel. This was not an emotional decision. This was a matter of sound business practices. I've heard comment today that South Mason Fire and Rescue, the district, employs great professionals. And I'm glad to hear that sentiment, and South Mason Fire and Rescue intends to employ great professionals. But employing those great professionals comes at great cost. And without getting into cost too much, because we're in the middle of contractual negotiations, and we have what's called an ER 408 agreement that preserves confidentiality of that negotiation. I won't speak to that negotiation today. What I will speak to is the statutory duty of a fire district to equally serve all of the property within its boundaries. We submitted written comment. I assume that the commissioners have had a moment to review that comment. Attached to that was an Attorney General opinion that was issued in 2021. And what that Attorney General opinion said is that a fire district is obligated by law to serve all of the territory and property within its boundaries equally, whether it gets paid for those services or not. That's important because service demand in the district is exponentially increasing year over year. There are commercial enterprises within the boundaries of the district that are engaged in substantial economic development. There is a layer of subjectivity here that I acknowledge. We discussed earlier how there's two statutory components of a withdrawal. One, the district has to find that the withdrawal will benefit the territory withdrawn, i.e. that it will benefit the tribe. The second component is, will the withdrawal on balance benefit the district as a whole? So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about the benefit to the tribe. Because as the administrative staff person mentioned earlier, this Board of Commissioners has to concur in both findings of the Board of Fire Commissioners of the district. Both findings. One, it's a benefit to the tribe, and two, it is a benefit to the district writ large. So, benefit to the tribe. Let me get to that. As I mentioned, service demand grows. And revenue, as we might know, in Washington State for fire districts is substantially based upon property tax revenue. We're limited by a 1% limitation in growth year to year in the absence of majority past lid lifts in which the statutory cap on our property tax revenues may increase. Currently, we're subject to that 1% limitation. With that being said, service demand grows exponentially year by year. CPI grows, I believe CPI in the western region or within the Seattle-Tacoma Bellevue region, whichever way we want to slice it, is approximately 3.2% over the last 3 years, growing 3.2%. That's a lot higher than 1%, especially in tax dollars. With that being said, the district also has collective bargaining agreements with its personnel. It has union-employed personnel at the district, and it has to compensate them adequately. Their compensation is increasing by CPI in the Seattle-Tacoma Bellevue region, while we're limited by the 1% limitation of the statute. And I understand we're talking about a layer of subjectivity here. We're talking about what the district thinks about whether or not this will benefit the tribe. We acknowledge the awkward position that that puts the district in. But we're the ones that had that burden, and this is what we're prepared to speak to. The most important thing for us to think about, as we've heard a lot of testimony today about life-saving measures of the district, what we have to think about is that an unfunded service obligation is only going to diminish services. It's only going to make those services worse year over year over year by basis of funding cuts, fire engines and EMS ambulances cost a lot of money and they degrade every year. And the less money the district has and is capable of putting back to providing the service, because it doesn't just pocket money, it puts it directly back into service to the community. The less money it has and the less funding it has for purposes of being able to do that is going to degrade capacity and degrade services to the tribe. It's going to degrade services not only to the tribe, but to the entire district in general, to all residents of the district, including taxpayers. The district is limited in 90% of its revenue by property taxes. 90% of its revenue is from property taxes. Tribal trust land does not pay taxes. You don't pay taxes on tribal trust land. So none of that no tax revenue is coming to the district by virtue of tribal trust land. The tribe puts more and more property in trust through the years, the tax revenue shrinks. That's just the reality of the situation. Speaking historically, I won't speak historically because I haven't been general counsel to South Mason Fire and Rescue for 30 years. But what I will say is, yes, there's a historical relationship between South Mason Fire and Rescue and the tribe. There have been attempts at renegotiating contracts, attempts at dialogue and trying to establish a partnership. And as much as the district responds to the territory within the tribe and takes that obligation seriously and will continue to take its service obligations seriously, it has frankly been ignored. It has been disregarded and taken for granted for many years. Does that make this an emotional decision? No. We've heard it said many times today that we think that the decision to withdraw tribal territory was, quote, an emotional decision of the district. No, it is not an emotional decision. It is based upon the budget limitations of the district in meeting its service obligations and finding that if the tribe continues to grow, and even if all of the district continues to grow based upon our present revenue models, we cannot sustain this fire department. We may have to lay off employees and have substantially degraded engines that take a longer time to get to fires. We certainly are going to have a hard time purchasing a ladder truck for purposes of putting out a fire at a casino. So the benefit to the tribe in that is that, again, if the district is no longer hampered by an unfunded service obligation, services to the tribe will not continue to degrade year to year as the tribe grows. That's the benefit to the tribe. It also enables the tribe to establish its own fire department and establish its own service model and not be hindered by an unfunded mandate imposed upon the district. What is the benefit to South Mason Fire and Rescue? I believe I already spoke to that. The benefit to South Mason Fire and Rescue is it no longer has an unfunded service obligation and it can take its service and improve it throughout the district as it wants to do. It has statutory obligations that it needs to meet. There's provisions under RCW 52.33020 about statutory objectives and preventing brain death in the event of heart attacks. We have to worry about that as well. When we have a statutory duty, we have liability that is commensurate to that statutory duty. And if we have an unfunded service obligation, it benefits us not to have it when we have an obligation to the whole district. That is the benefit to South Mason Fire and Rescue. In conclusion, this is the point that we want to drive home. We respect tribal sovereignty. We respect the traditions of the tribe. We respect our community. But most importantly, we respect our statutory obligations. We have statutory obligations to serve all that are within our boundaries to the best of our ability, with the most professional staff that we employ, and with the best apparatus that we can afford. Under the current posture of things, we cannot do that in perpetuity, and that is the reason why we are seeking withdrawal. I thank the commissioners for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment?
I did sign in, but I'll make a brief comment. Like Vicki, I'm kind of losing my voice.
Please state your name, sir.
Nathan Schreiner. I'm the tribal attorney for the Squaxin Island Tribe. I just want to make 2 quick points. Your job isn't to evaluate today, the financial practices of the district. Whether it's a wise decision on their part or not, it's not in front of you. It's to make 2 findings of fact. One of which is whether this decision benefits the tribe. You've had 5 tribal members who live in the district, who live on the reservation, come before you and explain in some detail why it would not benefit them. I think that ought to be enough on the record for you to conclude that it does not benefit the tribe. And if you conclude that today and make that finding of fact, it doesn't end the decision tree. It just goes to a public vote. To me, that's a reasonable outcome. Let the citizens of the district vote on this. Don't make that decision for them. To speak to the financial side of things, I'll again point out, as has been said, yes, we have a ER 408 agreement, but we're in active negotiations. We have a path forward, I would say. We also have a standing agreement, that's a public document, that provides a mechanism for correcting the fees paid. The fire district has always had the ability to step forward in this time frame and ask for additional compensation, and the tribe is stepping up and willing to provide it. So I'm going to keep it brief, but again, 5 tribal members stood before you today and said this will not benefit them. Let's have a vote. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone? There we go. Okay.
My name is Sadie Whitener. I don't live on the reservation. I am a taxpayer, and this conversation erodes my faith in this district. To think that this district would not respond to the needs of family and friends that live on that hill. Does that mean that they just pick and choose who they're gonna serve, or? I can't support that. I hope you don't either.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I wish I would have waited until I could hear from Mason County Fire District 4. I urge you, commissioners, to have us go back to the table. Let us talk with them again. And because we're talking about lives, and I hear the financial portion, and I also heard that we don't pay taxes, but we paid for these years that we're here. It's not been easy. And yes, we don't pay taxes, but we do provide financial backing. And is that correct, Josh? Yeah. Josh is our treasurer. And so I ask that we go back to the table, give us time to work this out. We may have a disagreement, but I believe that we could come to an agreement that we can work together. It's important that we have that cohesion to be able to work together and communicate. I'm sorry to hear that someone felt disregarded. We try not to disregard our neighbors because we've always been a good neighbor. If you read your history books, we were the ones there to deliver babies, to help. We were the first EMTs, believe it or not. We were there to help the people, and we're still here. And so I urge you, give us some more time. Let's go back to the table. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'll make a quick comment.
Good morning. My name is Greg Rudolph. I'm the fire chief at South Mason Fire Rescue. And I listened to these comments and I knew this was going to be a very emotional thing. And being a fire chief and EMS provider and firefighter for over 20 years, yes, it is very emotional. It is about taking care of people. The one thing that I have to do as a fire chief is look at things very objectively and see how sustainable the fire department is over time. And yes, we see that as the sovereign nation grows, Squaxin grows, which is fantastic. They're adding buildings, adding homes, adding people to the community, but it puts a real burden on the fire district. 15% of our call volume goes there. We're there 15% of the time. And that's just the addresses. That doesn't include traffic flow and all the other things. What I've tried to do is really look at things and march them out objectively and over time. I don't get paid to make sure that the fire department lasts for a year or 5 years or 10 years. What I do now will affect this department 20 years into the future. Building stations, remodeling stations, hiring staff, purchasing apparatus. That's where my mind is at. Our operations chief is thinking about over the next year or 2 or 3. Jenna is thinking about helping me figure out what it looks like for the sustainability of this fire district. Our Commissioner Bennett has been with the district for 28 years. He's seen all the ups and downs. Our citizens in the district, including Squaxin citizens, we're here to take care of those people. And that's what we want to do. If it was an emotional decision, we would just continue moving on like we are. And this would end poorly. You can't run a business model by providing service with no reimbursement for cost. And unfortunately, that's what it comes down to. And as our voting citizens, the rest of the people in our district face the tax fatigue in Washington State. And we keep going back to those people and saying, we need more, we need more, we need more. The cost of service is ridiculous. I mean, it really, truly is. The price of apparatus has increased 50% in the past 5 years. 8% cost of living increases. We're trying to keep up by only increasing 1% a year. And it's just not a good model for us. And we're not the only fire department or public entity that's in this situation. We all are. But we can't afford to have our service degraded. We're running about 250 calls a year. That's as many or more calls as the majority of the departments on the west side of 101 run. So all those districts are running, essentially a call volume's worth of calls that we're absorbing running to Squaxin Island Tribe. And we are looking for a partnership. Readjusting our boundaries is really the only thing that we can do. And unfortunately, it is contentious. It is emotional. And I own that. And it's a bit sad, but it's kind of the direction that we have to go. So thank you for your time, and I'll sign in afterwards.
Any other comments?
I spoke earlier and I wasn't speaking from emotions. I was speaking because of my beliefs and seeing that part of the rural Mason County without the fire district and then becoming adult and seeing them with them. And yes, it does dismay me that they want to withdraw and they don't want to partner with the tribes. But it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, commissioners, that it feels like and it sounds like to me that they are saying servicing my people are a financial burden. and that we're not cooperating with them. I really would like for you guys to let the tribe and the district to do that, because that's just not true. The tribe does contribute. There are services, and I can say this because I used to be a grants writer. I couldn't decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. One of the things I did early in my years was grants writing. I know that there's money funneled to that fire district because they're on tribal land that they receive. So once again, I would like to urge you guys to push us back to the table and renegotiate, because there are contributions that my tribe makes for that district. And I'm sorry if we're not paying enough, but let's go back to the table and readjust things. You know, inflation's at a high cost right now and everyone's suffering. But I really, really want you guys to urge and look at both sides of the story. Thank you again.
Mr. Chair, there may be people out in the front that are watching this right now. Can we send somebody just to ask if somebody wants to testify?
Please do.
I'm gonna ask Lisa.
It's okay, come on in there, just, they know that there's folks out here that might.
Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa Johns. I'm from the Squaxin Island tribe. Excuse me. I appreciate all the work that that fire district does. My cousin and my dad live next door to me. And I did CPR on my cousin for 13 minutes. That was hard. And I was so grateful when the fire district showed up to take over. I know that everything costs money. And I know that our tribe pays a lot of money to the district for their services. If the district needed more money, then they should have spoke up and came and asked for negotiations earlier. Our people are not a greedy people. You know, if you're hungry, we'll feed you. If you're thirsty, we'll give you something to drink. And so if they would have came up and requested more money, we would have gave it to them. You know, we want to help. We need the fire district there for our people. We need to work together as a family. You know, everybody that lives in that district, we care for one another. And I just hope that this gets worked out in a way that Camelchie can benefit. So I ask that you just follow your hutch. This is your spirit, your hutch. It'll never lead you wrong. And just work with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think I'm gonna ask them online, I don't know
Yeah.
if I asked.
Anybody online have a comment? State your name and
There's no one.
don't.
Ray Peters, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Ray Peters. I am a Squaxin tribal member and I work for the tribe. I've been actively involved over the years in negotiating fees for service, and this idea, you know, that the chief states that, and he was quoted in the paper as stating that the tribe does not pay for services. That's just not true. It's false. He knows better. It's also a fact that not only tribes exempt from paying taxes, there are other organizations buildings that are exempt from taxes. But yet we're the only ones that are being redistricted out for leverage. We have always paid. We negotiated a contract in good faith. And I can't talk about the specific negotiations that are going on now. But as always, the tribe is responsible. They come to the table. They're a part of the process. I was part of the team that put together the existing contract back in 2006. To a commissioner, they told us what they wanted, what they needed. And we signed a contract that served their purposes and served our purposes. For many years before that contract was put in place, we provided a small fire station that they could access their equipment and respond to meet the needs of the district. And so the balance in the argument that is putting forward you to try to sway a vote of redistricting is somewhat biased. There isn't anybody else that's being redistricted out that are exempt from taxes. We understand we're exempt from taxes. There are some buildings that are exempt, government buildings, yet we have always paid. The existing contract goes through 2031, but there's a provision for us to go ahead and update that, and we're doing that in good faith. I urge the commissioners to go ahead and put this to a vote. Let the people of the district go ahead and decide. We are being singled out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online? If you raise your hand or speak up. All right. Seeing none, I'm gonna move. Oh.
You know, we try to have good relationships with our neighbors. You guys know we have a really awesome relationship with the sheriffs. We have always had, until this new fire chief came, we've always had good relationships with our fire chief. And in fact, sometimes we felt like they were part of our family. But I just wanna come up here and say shame on the fire chief that we have today for making us come down this road and putting us in this position as the largest employer in Mason County, to say that if you're on fire, we're not gonna come and save you. Shame on him, shame on the fire commissioners. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm sick and I already coughed on one fire commissioner, but if I could, I'd cough on them all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Kreis. I'm Puyallup tribal member, Squaxin tribal member. Kind of hurts my feelings seeing this. I'll tell you a story. There was one time my grandma, she was non-responsive, and it took 45 minutes for her to even get seen. And my grandpa sat there and did CPR on her for a long time. And I don't know if this District 4 is at the bottom of the hill, but it shouldn't take 45 minutes to get to the res. And when I do work, I pay taxes. So when I heard somebody say that the tax money does not come from a tribal member, but most of the people that do work, they pay taxes. So I just wanted to come in here and say that, yes, most of the people that do work pay taxes. Well, where does that go then? So, and I heard something about 1%. I live up the hill, by the way. I don't live on the res no more. I grew up on the res, lived up there my whole life. And I am a Puyallup Squaxin tribal member. And just hurts my feelings to see stuff like this. Hold on, let me see.
Hello, Flava. Oxley Hill. My name is Taylor Kreis.
Thank you all for your time. I know and understand that this is getting really emotional, and it, got me to stand. I'm fairly new on the tribal council, and so there's a lot that I'm learning. And got into these conversations not too long ago, so I'm still learning the ins and outs of this. But serving as the vice chairman, hearing the people's needs is first and foremost. But what I'm getting is this isn't about, more so about the safety of our people. I'm sorry to say, I'm hearing more of these issues that we're having is about business. And I'm sorry to say it, money. And money's, is the root of all problems, as we know. But one of the things that I'd like to really sit down and talk with the fire districts about is what, I've heard them bring up, the taxes and how they're going up in all these different areas in Washington, and how much other places, other districts are paying for their services. I would like to sit down with the district and keep a strong relationship with our fire chief and with our EMTs and our medical, because our safety of our people is first and foremost. And so the ask of what the fire district, what they want, I know there's been a little bit of conflict on numbers, and I hate that that's the issue, is that the numbers are what causing these issues with the safety of our people. And so, but if we're not giving enough, and I would like understand that a little more. So I liked what other people said about tabling this and letting the community be more of a vote of this. But I thought that this time, we're not coming at this angry or mad. I really just want a better understanding of this, and maybe we can meet somewhere and negotiate something that's fair for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think I have one more comment just pertaining to a procedural piece, not a substantive issue at all. All I want to say is I think that everyone in this room, the tribe, the district, everyone here is entitled to an answer. And there was discussion earlier about tabling this and moving it to a public hearing on May 26, 2026. Procedurally, I encourage the commission to check with county legal counsel on this, because if we continue it to May 26th, there's an issue with election timelines. If the commissioners were to deny the withdrawal, it goes to an election, but we have to comply with our statewide election laws, and it could impact whether or not it gets on the primary ballot if we push this out into late May. Just a procedural comment. Thank you.
I just feel obliged to follow up on that. I'm the tribal attorney for Squaxin Island, Nathan Schreiner. I don't think that view is universally held, and I would encourage you to talk to your county attorney about that. I think you could easily defer it for another month if you wanted to, and that the statutes that set when elections are held on a statewide basis would override any limitations in the fire district specific statutes. And again, overall, I've lost count, but we're getting pretty close to 10. I've heard 0 tribal members who live in the district who would assert to you that it's to their benefit to see it withdrawn. That's all you got to do today. Thanks.
All right. I think that covers it. I will lean on my fellow commissioners here, because public hearings are something I haven't done very much of, so.
I'll get in trouble first. So how I start this, don't think that that's how it ends, because I've something I have to cover here first. Even though I may be siding on the side of some I'm gonna mention. I've been doing this for like 20 years. There's very few people that impress me as much as you over the years. You know this about me. You and I have had this discussion. I have also asked you never to be angry at me because you're so formidable. But with that being said, there was something that was said I have to clarify here for me. I happen to know that these individuals that are here are spectacular human beings. They're not racist, and this isn't based on race. It is based on, this is my opinion on that, it is based on financial, it is based on their ability to cover their costs and stuff like that. But I don't believe for 1 minute with any of these individuals that I know well enough, I think, that there's racism has anything to do with it. I just want to clarify that. With this, we have a big burden. I am burdened also with the promise I have to myself for 20 plus years in elected office of when opportunities arise, that it belongs in the hands of the people to make the decisions. So aside from these things, and although I completely agree that when it comes to the fire department, they need that compensation. It's a special circumstance. But I also cannot agree that I'm seeing it where it's a benefit to the tribe. I'm hoping that we will work this out and fix it and make it happen, because I do know that you want to. I've talked to each one of you guys individually over this time. I'm positive you want to. It's just how do we get it there? I don't know. So I myself, I'm set with two of them in my mind. And if they disagree with me, they're not wrong. I'm stuck with this because this is how I view my worldview on how to do my job. A fire department is a completely different governmental entity, and I don't step on other governmental entities to do their job. But I also don't step on the people when it's their responsibility to make the final decisions. I would be supportive of continuing it, because we are allowed up to a 30-day continuous, to continue it, to allow it to them to negotiate for 2 weeks. I also would be agreeable to denying it for the moment, so it goes to the vote of the people. But again, I want to clarify, it's not because I think the fire department's wrong. Because that casino is, if you thought of it as a business model, and it is, because money's an interesting thing. It is the root of all evil, but if you don't have it, you can't go and fight evil either. They have to have those funds to be able to service everybody. I would like to support the idea that we either put it back out to the people or we continue it for 2 weeks. I'd be very happy to continue it for 2 weeks, because I would like to see them go back to the drawing board, work this out between them, and then we don't even have to make this decision. But that's mine. But please, you know how much I think you're incredible. I had to say that because I know those individuals, and we make mistakes sometimes. I think that one may have been a mistake. But I know you're spectacular. Your nickname is the Hugger, to top it off, and I'm so proud of you for everything you've always done. Please don't get angry at me.
This is my last week. I'm retiring on
Oh.
Saturday, so I'm sorry.
They're
If I was mad at you, I'd hug you.
Oh.
But you don't want to share my journey.
No, you're spectacular.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm kind of sad that it's come this far. Communication, working together is huge. It's one of the things that I really appreciate about people, because as we talk, as we communicate, as we're honest with everybody, things can work out. Some of the best decisions have come during brainstorming events, and so this is a difficult decision for me. I feel like maybe if one of the things that we could do or should do is put a deadline so things can be talked about. Finances, I mean, one of the biggest concerns with us is our budget. Our budget is very tight, 1%, we don't even do that anymore, or haven't done it since I've been in office. And so budgets are tight, and I understand that services, we're required to provide services. That's one of our constitutional requirements. I don't know, and I'd like to ask the auditor, because he's here, if we went for an option 2 and it went to the people, how many, I'd like to know what the cost is, and you can bring this information back if you want, but I'd like to know what the cost would be and how much time the elections office would need to put it on the ballot.
And who bears the cost?
And I believe the cost would be by those that are presenting it, so it would be, I believe it would be the fire district.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you could put the request or the idea in a written form, and then I'll take it back to the team, and we'll come back to you with the answers that you see.
All right, I'll do that. I know that the Attorney General's opinion was that it has to provide a benefit, but it also has to, I mean, it's twofold. Has to provide a benefit, and there has to be a financial obligation as well. We have so many unfunded mandates that burden on the county is burdensome. I'm trying to really find my words. And I don't appreciate the state doing that to any local governments or anybody putting any, anyway, I could go down a rabbit hole on that one. So I respect the sovereignty of the tribe, and you guys are good neighbors. And I'd like to continue that as well as we go into the future. So I'm leaning more toward option 2, which would be to deny it and send it out to the people with a deadline. Because if we can have this, if fire commissioners, I love you all. I think you are amazing. And our first responders, you guys have come to my house a couple of times because I am in this district. And so I want to make sure that this is something that is supported by the people. Trying to gather my thoughts here. But I want to make sure that it's beneficial for everybody. As electeds, we work for the people, and we make sure that we do make our decisions based on what's best for the people. So,
Commissioner?
Yeah.
Could we have her, she just reached over, she looked into one of the questions that we
Okay.
had.
So I have been working hand in hand with our legal team. Any option that you choose, we have full faith to go into. I know that our elections department has been made aware of this and has been looking into this and should be ready should we choose option 2 to put the vote to the people.
and the cost would be on the fire district, or where would that cost?
That I would have to double check. I wasn't included in those conversations. So I would need to reach out to Tim just to find those specifics. But I do know that any option that we choose today, we have the backing of our legal department.
Right, and thank you so much for reaching out to him and getting his input on this.
You did a good job.
Yes.
So the other question would be Commissioner Netherland's
Yes.
suggestion for 2 weeks delay. What does that mean? I don't know that you can answer that, Auditor, but you know, we have to have a certain amount of time to get things on the ballot, and you know, I don't know what that. We may miss the August if we delay it.
I believe it would be a special election. And
So that's a steeper cost.
yes, I believe it would be a
So-
special election, but
Irregardless, it becomes a special election.
I believe so.
That makes sense, because if they're already established for, you're shaking your head, are you already established for your primary?
Not yet.
No, they can't be, because the final.
Not yet, so there's time to get a measure on the.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have established, so if we did it in 2 weeks, it would be able to be on the primary ballot, because they'll be just
The end of
finalizing.
next week is the end of filing week. so-
Yeah.
I would need to double check with Tim just to make sure that we're doing everything properly and.
Can I ask also, when is the next scheduled meeting between the fire district and the tribe?
I think it's
May 14th, maybe 10th or something like that. Mid-May.
Mid-May?
Mid-May.
Can we move it up?
Not the exact day, but
Okay.
Yeah, tribe's perfectly willing to do that.
I would just love for you guys to work it out so that there's, I want to be good neighbors too. And so if I would just encourage the heck out of you to meet together. Work this out. It shouldn't be that difficult. And sorry, I'm gonna preach a little bit, but gosh darn it, people. Do what's best for everybody. It shouldn't be that difficult. our fire commissioners, they put up 2 great big water tanks so that they can serve the area out where I live, because I'm out in the middle of trees and nowhere. And so I know that our fire commission and our fire department, they're working to protect me as well as all of my neighbors. That's what we should be doing here, working together.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I'll just, I know to speak for us, but I know that we're very close. I do think that we could do this in 2 weeks if the fire district's ready, I think.
Takes 2 people to say yes.
Yeah. Those quorums, oh my gosh.
Commissioner, just so you're aware, if we were to select number 2, it is a requirement to set a special election.
Okay, to set a special election.
Yes, but I don't think that is the requirement if we were to postpone it for the 2 weeks. We don't have to, set a date, we just table it for the 2 weeks and give them the opportunity to meet.
Okay, my concern there is I might have to remote in,
You can do that.
because I'd like to be a part of the decision. So.
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't even mind setting up a special meeting.
That's not the issue.
Okay, all right. Whatever you need to do this, I agree. This is one where all 3 of us should be here.
So I'll weigh in on this. Although I understand the difficulties that all this is brought up, I'm hearing from my seatmates that delaying this for a while, giving you guys an opportunity to come to an agreement seems to be where we're going with it. I'm very sympathetic to what the fire department is going through, and I understand the emotional reactions to the idea of losing service. That would be devastating. But I don't know that this is done out of malice or anything like that. I think it's the fire district is trying to protect their ability to service everybody. And so that's just my comment, and I will. Tim wants to, oh, okay,
Tim wants the BOCC to call before we take action.
okay.
Tim Whitehead. Our
You want to take a 10-minute break?
Can we take a 10-minute break?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Is this something we can do?
An executive session, as long as the attorney's on the phone, we can have an executive session for legal, so why don't you call us into executive session? You don't have to say the number, just.
We're going to step off and go talk to our legal counsel. We'll be back here in 10 minutes, or let's say at 10:40.
Okay.
Ready. All right, welcome back, everybody. Just for the record, we went into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, Section 1, subsection I, to discuss with our legal team. No issues were discussed outside the legal aspects of this, and no actions were taken. So what our attorney said was, if we were to postpone 2 weeks, the earliest this could be on the ballot would be the November election. For it to be on the August election, a decision must be reached by Friday preceding the first day of candidate filing, which means the decision would have to be made by this Friday for it to be on the primary ballot. So that causes me to ask a question. I was under the impression that the contract was expiring this year. I believe you said it was 2031 it was through, so.
There's some disagreement there. I believe the fire district's resolutions have an end date of November 11th.
October 20th,
Okay.
2026.
Okay, so the significance of that is we don't want to we want to make sure you're not left with a gap in that, and that this gets resolved in a timely manner before that time expires. So it puts a little more pressure on us to decide one way or the other, and that's That's to make sure that if this gets pushed through to a special election, it has to go, or it goes through on the primary ballot, not on the other one, so.
Speaking for the tribe anyway, I don't think a November ballot date is a concern. May not be the same for everyone involved, but.
From my perspective, it was just, if this ends in October and it won't be on the ballot till November, there's a potential gap there that would be
Well,
not.
again, I don't think the tribe would be concerned about that scenario if that's the way you want to go. Still have a deadline to get something done.
Okay.
No, it's all right. Ball's in your court. I know.
Yeah. Anyway, that was what we discussed with our attorney. That's what he spelled out for us, is what the timeline of what we have to do. So I will open it back up for any more discussion or a motion, if you guys.
I'm still trying to figure it out now, because we're in a weird situation, because I'd love to hear whether or not that is an issue on time. But if I do, then I have a meeting that will have just occurred with 3 commissioners, and I don't want to put them in that position. So that makes it harder to judge whether it makes a difference. So I'm going to go to a non-elected and look for a head nod. We don't have to do it if you don't want to do a head nod, but does it matter the difference between primary ballot or general election ballot? I'm not looking at the elected. I'm looking past to some, because I don't want to put you in a bad place.
I don't think we have any opinion on that. I think there's a difference in opinion of when said contract does expire.
Yeah.
We're always available as a service provider, right? For contract or services. We're not gonna let a nation go without service. We're gonna make sure that we take care of people.
And to your credit, you've said that to me every single time I've ever heard about this.
We've reiterated that, the commissioners have reiterated that, the assistant chief, the staff, everybody has reiterated that, is that there's no intention to produce a gap in service, especially when it comes to life safety.
Then with that said, you want me to try?
Sure.
I move for approval to continue the public hearing to May 26th at 9:15 a.m. to consider the withdrawal of the Squaxin Island Tribe territory from South Mason Fire District number 4.
Can I just ask for clarification? Are we shooting for 2 weeks or 4 weeks?
Well, it's the 26th.
We have to do it within 3 weeks. We can only postpone it up to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would hope to make the decision on 26th. This is the date that they gave us.
No, it'd have to be 2 weeks from now.
I believe we could do it on the 12th.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Nobody seconded it, so I'll move for continuance to the 12th of May at 9:15 a.m. to consider or to finalize the discussion. I also would like to allow it for comment again. In case somebody comes up with something that changes our mind, I always want to be able to hear it. So to allow it for comment again on May 12th, 9:15 a.m. to consider the withdrawal of Squaxin Island territory from South Mason Fire District Protection District number 4, with the hope that they actually get together.
Yeah, I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we continue the discussion in 2 weeks, whatever that date is. I have to look that up. May 12th. That's predicated, just for everybody's information, that's predicated on what our attorney said, is we have to have a follow-up meeting in at least, or no more than 3 weeks. So the next time we will have a meeting is in 2 weeks or in 4 weeks. So it's 2 weeks from now. So it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Just one comment. Don't make us have to decide. Work together and come up with a good, solid solution that benefits everybody.
And I don't know if it would make any difference at all, but I'm sure one of us would volunteer in a heartbeat to try and mediate between it to get to an actual agreement if you felt it was needed or if it would help in any manner. If not, This is your barbecue. This is a problem that I've had with it the whole time. It's not my barbecue, and I think it belongs to the people or you. You are the representatives of the people.
Okay, I will call for the vote. All in favor of postponing for 2 weeks, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I'm gonna say nay, but, you know, it's, motion carries. So, with that, we are finished with our public hearing. Well, actually, we're not finished with it. We're finished with it until we come back together 2 weeks from now. Now's the time we will get into board calendars and reports. Commissioner Nevin, if you'd like to go first.
Sure. All right. Over the last couple of weeks, we had elected officials meeting, North Mason Chamber Government Affairs Committee, North Mason Chamber regular meeting, Mason Transit Executive Board meeting. We're all together.
All right, man, we'll see you around.
I met with the
Please keep your voices down.
Cemetery Board special meeting, Mason Transit Authority together. Met with the Sheriff, Lions Club, Mason Transit Authority regular board meeting, citizens, and then whatever it is I can't read. Here coming up, we got a meeting tonight. I'm going to attend the one where the sheriff is speaking. In case you guys are there, Mason Transit Authority is having a closed session. I'm going to be going and attending the Matlock, and I think you will be too because your wife and you were in it. So we will be there together at the Matlock Old Time Festival to celebrate the 250. So I will be there as well. Code enforcement meeting on Monday. Port of Allen meeting. Law enforcement firefighting meeting. Hood Canal Coordinating Council. Bring us back to briefings and do it again.
Commissioner Trask.
Well, next we have our finance committee meeting. Tomorrow's my mom's birthday, and may she celebrate it heavily in heaven. MTA closed meeting, and then briefings on Monday. Wasac virtual MTA and LMTA, so Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council meeting, Pack Mountain Finance meeting. And want to remind everybody that the Master Gardener plant sale is Saturday the 9th. It's always very cool. And we're back for a briefing on Monday.
That's why I buy things to kill.
I have EDC executive committee meeting Wednesday morning. Several other meetings that day, mostly in Thurston County. I have Alliance for a Healthy South Sound meeting on Thursday. We have closed session meeting with the Mason Transit. We'll all be at that. I have a sheriff's lunch in Hoodsport on Friday. Saturday and Sunday we'll be at the Matlock Old Timers Festival. Working a booth out there. Come back Monday for commissioners briefing. Wasac virtual assembly on Monday. Thurston Mason behavioral health meeting Monday afternoon. Tuesday fire district meeting in the evening. Then I don't know what else I got. Thursday we have sheriff's breakfast at Spencer Lake. The EDC executive. Yeah, I won't be at the sheriff's breakfast. That's conflicts with the executive committee meeting for the EDC on Thursday, so we'll need to be at that. I will be attending the National Day of Prayer celebration at Shelton First Baptist on it's Thursday at 10 o'clock. There's a canvassing board meeting at 2 for, what's that for? That seems early.
2 o'clock.
Yeah,
What's it for?
no, I don't mean the time, what are we doing canvassing for already?
Election, school district.
School district.
Certify the election.
Yeah, okay. I just couldn't remember what election. Then I have a meeting with Joe Avalos for Thurston Mason Behavioral Health. And more certification will be on Friday at 2. And with that, we come back and start all over again.
I will also be at the Day of Prayer, and I think we all forgot to mention we have a finance committee meeting 1 hour ago that we're going to be meeting right now, I think.
Nope, I mentioned it.
Did you?
Yeah.
At least one of us is on top of things.
Yeah, it didn't
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We are adjourned. Unless you guys want to discuss it.
The other two should go quick.
Yeah, but that one, Boat's gonna drag on.
That one is going to go on.
Yes, okay. Okay, so, first thing, I have spare reports if anybody needs one.
Yours is bigger than mine.
It's the whole,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the whole of it.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, all right, so, I would like to call the meeting to order at, what is that, 10:57?
10:57.
Okay. And roll call, present today, with the committee is Pat Tarswell and Steve Dunkel and myself.
Present.
Yeah.
All right. What I'm going to do today is go through the report first and then come back to some items that I want to address.
Okay.
Okay. So today we are presenting the first quarter Finance Committee report. So first quarter, January through March. All right. Let's start with the first page. Looking at the numbers here, the current, as of first quarter, the current expense fund cash on hand as of March 31st was $19,048,932.51. We have a reserve, our total reserves are 7.5. Net cash balance, $3,923,537.50. Moving on to page 2 or 3.
Brittany, you have to
yes,
make
yes.
bigger print for us
Oh,
all, folks.
okay, no problem. I can do that in a, I can do that. Sorry. I know there's so much to fit in. I do have extra room there that I can expand out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smaller font is
Yes.
evil.
Okay, no problem. So currently invested funds, $266,955,452.06. That's what we currently have invested in our portfolio. Total on the cash sheet as of March 31st was $287,871,901.55. As of first quarter, our budgeted investment interest collections are at $1,250,000, but as of first quarter, we've collected $435,372.80. The treasurer's banking costs, first quarter is in at $2,059. All right, page 4. Moving on to debt. As of the 31st of March, our balance is $14,511,585.61. Okay, page 5. Finance Committee business, old business, which it appears we are moving along with the RID, so it sounds like that's going to be next month. So that's been updated since I had put this in here, but so that's actually good news. We're moving along on that. So
what was it, you gave it to us, what was the total cost of the RID now?
The total cost of the RID, the estimated total is $227,845.
I meant for us doing it, we were paying for the bonds and all like that.
Correct, 18,000 was our fees. Correct, yes, yeah. If there's any, if we want to discuss that anymore too, I know I've got some. Well, that'll be next month actually. Let's save that for next month. So.
If we wanted to have done an internal loan, we could have been collecting interest on it instead of paying the 18,000. That's what I was trying to say when we were first going through it. Considering they have that money in the bank, that's just sitting there in their cash reserves as well. Something to think about. I understand it's late now. I just wanted to put it out there. Because that's what I was trying to explain back then.
And before, right? Okay. New business. I do have meeting minutes from last time. You didn't sign them. I don't know if you sign them now. I didn't get a sign one
thought
from
I sent you a signed copy.
Well, I didn't see one. Maybe you did. But
'Cause
I printed this just out.
I did send a draft, then I sent a final
Yep,
version that was signed.
and I looked over the draft here, marked off, everything looked good. I can look in my email again, but,
Yeah,
or you
I'll
can
s-
read.
I know I sent out a signed copy.
Okay, I'll go through my email.
Okay.
This is
And I'll
just the
hand carry
draft.
one over to you if you want.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Alright. The last item for new business is, each year with the PDC, we have a treasurer's annual statement that we have to sign, that the committee has to sign. It is time to do that. Basically, it's just saying that no public funds under our control were invested in any institution in which we held office, directorship, partnership interest, or ownership interest in. And so we have to report that to the PDC each year. So I don't know, we start with you, if you want to
Sure.
sign that. That would be
Borrow your
great,
pen.
absolutely.
So it's just anyone's.
What's that?
Any-
Right here would be great.
Alright.
One of the highlighted areas there.
I have no idea what the date is. It's
28. Yep. Thank you so much. I'll
Not my,
get that.
not my best signature, that probably wouldn't fly through the elections team, but here we
It's
go.
okay. That's all right. I just need to get it sent off, so
Yeah.
we're good to go there now. Okay, all right. I wanna focus back on page 2 and just
Okay.
talk about that. So, I wanna provide a brief update on tax collections. Property taxes are currently being actively processed and revenue is coming in daily. As a result, our fund balance is fluid and continues to change each day as the receipts are posted. One item I want to highlight is related to the 25% operating reserve policy. At this time, we are showing a negative balance of $1,160,059.18 when measured against that policy target. However, it's important to note that this reflects just the first quarter reporting only. So as we continue through the tax collection cycle, we expect this to improve. So historically, the second and fourth quarter show stronger balances due to the timing of tax receipts in April and October. So this is a fluid thing and it changes quarterly, as we know. So, secondly, I'm going to ask, I want to talk about the deficit column that's included in my report. This column was added by the previous treasurer, very recent. She probably added it the last 2 quarters, and that historically that column has not been on the report. I'd appreciate direction from the committee on whether you'd like to see this column to remain or be removed moving forward.
Well, it's inaccurate,
Yeah, so
so it shouldn't be on the report.
okay.
Because it's subtracting our policy percentage twice.
Right,
It's not-
and that's what I keep hearing, that's what I keep hearing, and historically, that column has not been on the report. I know you guys know I'm new to this, but I have a really good mentor. Lisa's still mentoring me on this, and we have had discussions about this, and I wanted to open it up to talk about that. At this time, either way, I mean, I vote to remove it from the report. That's my vote. It hasn't historically been on there, so, look.
I'm nobody nothing, but I'm pretty sure this is your committee and your leadership on that. I have an opinion because I like to keep numbers open. this is your barbecue,
Yeah,
and you're the one that presents it, then we discuss it.
right, right. And,
Again.
and that's what I'm,
Yeah, I mean, if we want to do it as a motion, we can certainly do that. As the chair, you wouldn't necessarily be making the motion, but
and,
I mean,
and I don't
If
even
you
know
would
if a
like one,
vote
we can.
was done, that's another question I have. I don't know if a vote was done originally to even add that column to there. Do I need to do a vote to remove it from the
I don't
column?
re- I don't
I'm just
believe
trying to
it's-
be courteous
I
of
don't
everybody.
believe that we did vote
it
on
is your,
at all.
it's your report.
It wasn't,
Okay.
yeah, I think it was just added in, it didn't come before the.
And I like having the information, I'm just being consistent on how we've always done it. So, I like that for information, if you share me the information.
Yes, yes.
So Madam Treasurer, I like this information. I've learned how to calculate it myself. As you saw, we were bouncing back over the
Right,
last
you can do that.
couple of weeks.
Mhm.
I think it's important that not only the Finance Committee have visibility on that number, but our Board of County Commissioners have visibility on it, because what we've been seeing with the presentation of those numbers is that we are not in compliance with our reserve policy, our reserve resolution.
And I do wanna talk about that today too.
And that means the Board of County Commissioners has to respond, right? The resolution says when these reserve levels are not met, that the Board of County Commissioners has work to do to revise the budget, to restore funds into the cash balance so that we go back into positive territory for our reserves.
That would be true, but that last column is misstated. So, you're right, at 25%, we are below our reserves, so we need to talk about it. But our policy is between 15 and 25%. So if you were to back it off to 22%, we would not be. I'm not arguing the fact that we're spending it too fast.
The numbers speak for themselves.
That's what
The numbers
that's
speak for
what I just
themselves.
said. This last column is inaccurate. It cannot be. You can't subtract that 25% twice. What you're proposing, Steve, would mean that we would need to have a 65% cash reserve policy. That would be criminal.
No, I'm not proposing that at all.
It is what you're
I
proposing.
am proposing that the board follow the guidance and direction and the requirements in the existing resolution establishing our policy reserve balances. That policy
does not include that
in-
final column.
Because I agree with everything you just said, but I'm confused, I'm trying to figure out the other, because you have a column that has it, doesn't mean that it's in conflict with what we're trying to figure out. Explain this one to me, I'm trying, again, I'm not saying the column even has to be there.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying, I'm separating the two. I do think we need to adjust accordingly. How is it happening twice, what am I missing?
So if you just do the math.
Okay.
If you take your 19, I'm just gonna round it off, 19 million.
Yeah.
You take the 7.5 million away.
Yep.
Right, that leaves you with, whatever that is, 11 million or, 10 million. Then you take the 25%, which is also 12 million. We're down that minus 1.6. Then this last column subtracts that 12 million a second time. That's how you get to that minus 13 million.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I am not denying that at 25%, we have fallen below what our policy says we need to be at. What I'm saying is that third column overstates how far we are off. And the reason we have a reserve policy is so that we weather those, better than anybody else, Randy, that the incomes, it goes up and down and up and down and up and down, because we don't get a weekly sales tax and
I think, just so you know, I'm seeing where you're coming from, now I do understand what you're talking about. But it is still accurate because we have two reserve policies, basically.
the 12 million and the 7.5.
Yeah, and so with that, those numbers are still correct, not that they have to be there. That's not
No,
what I'm
no,
saying.
that last column is not. It's
If-
overstating, it's
I need to bring
restating.
my glasses. I'm gonna go get my glasses, I'm trying my best to see this way.
So I'm not arguing that we're not spending too fast as our revenue is dropping. This is a problem. It's something that the Board of County Commissioners must address.
And that does lead me into another thing I was gonna discuss today too, which is, opening it up to, hoping to open up a discussion about potentially adjusting, for instance, the capital reserve, level.
Yeah.
It's currently at 5 million. That's the target. You know, I could make a suggestion evaluating whether a reduction to maybe 2.5 million, which may be more appropriate. Simply just a recommendation. Maybe that's too much. Just wanting to open up that discussion to present that to the commissioners to, talk about.
Yeah, it's our obligation as a committee to discuss those issues.
Yeah.
I really
I know
don't,
that's been discussed in the past too, brought up.
I don't have a strong feeling on that reserve policy. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like,
Well,
okay, that's.
Preferably, I don't want to touch the reserve policy. That's me. So I think I see what you're saying on this other number over here. This one over here, the net cash balance is still accurate because if you put the two together. So why 13 million in the red on the deficit? Is that including what our budgeted spending is? Or what is that number? 'Cause
It's if you just do the math, it's taking the 12 million.
Out twice.
Yeah, it's taking it out twice.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
that's the math, 12,708,000 added on to the 1,160,000 gives you that 13 million. I tell you, this print is too small.
I think, I disagree. There's a difference between the presentation of the net cash balance, which we agree to the math there, but that last column that we're debating about is driven by math as defined in the policy on how you.
Not the way I read the policy.
On how you calculate the reserve
So
deficit against the policy.
Your definition of net cash balance needs to add the 12 million back in because that's a reserve policy. Our net cash balance is 19,043,000. That's our net cash balance.
Correct.
Now you have reserve policies of 7.5 million and 12 million. So all of a sudden we're over that 19 million. So we've hit at 25%, we're under where we need to be, but we're not $13 million under it. That you're trying to keep you're adding the $12 million twice.
So I think I'm seeing what you're saying, and let me see if I can.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is, it's in the term that we're using net cash. We're using that term. Because of that, the net cash doesn't get affected by the 7.5 million because it's not being spent. It's actually in a reserve aspect.
Right.
So therefore, it's not a net cash change. Back and forth.
And so is the 12 million. It doesn't, it's reserve policy. It's
yeah,
not a real number. It's not
No,
like cash.
You're right. It's a policy number.
Yeah.
And it's that policy is defined.
But that one still is, so I
is
see
it a
that is two
policy
different things.
issue?
That one is still the same. That one still, the other is something that we keep it's not spent. Because we're doing it, it's not spent. It's just kept in the reserves because we're using the term cash. It's one of the problems when we moved over the cash is this type of thing does occur there with that. So I don't know what the answer. I'm just saying I can see it. I'm trying to process.
No,
it
I
in
see
my
the
head
issue.
right
There's
now.
a distinction
Yeah.
between how much cash we really
Yeah.
have on hand and how much that cash balance translates to in terms of the reserve deficit policy requirement.
Yeah.
So the
if
question
that
is still.
part's gone, then I think this is completely, yes, that's accurate, but is it necessary? 'Cause
Well,
Right.
it's still not accurate. We can drop it off the thing because it doesn't really
The
apply.
reason why I'm saying it's accurate, when you have debit credit, you're gonna have to put it in one of the columns. So that would be accurate if you're using it that way, but that doesn't mean that it's real. It's just a debit credit column. The reality is, we are at the other one at 25% net cash balance.
And that is
That's our reality. The
That's
other
the
is,
concern there, but again, this is first quarter, we're getting
Yeah.
tax, it's not even that any longer. This was, we've received tax revenue money and we're actively receiving it, second quarter historically
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's still, it's, as of that date, this is where we were.
Right,
And that's what
correct.
we have to look at it from that side.
And my question remains though, with respect to the resolution signed by all the county commissioners.
Mhm.
Is that me? Sorry.
is it me?
Oh, dang, it's me.
No. I have a new sound.
Sorry.
I did just change something. That's why it could have been me.
I thought
I had a different, because I had one with
I had it off all day, but now I turned it on. So anyway, the question remains, so the
I'm listening. What's happening now? Feel free to share the details so we can figure it out.
Is that
And that's
you?
why I leave my phones on my desk.
I don't know what
I don't
that
have
is
mine with
either.
me
What
either.
the hell?
I don't know. They're listening to us. Whoever the bots are, they're listening.
All right,
They're always.
They are, yeah.
I got
Watch what you
zero.
say.
back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah.
The reserve policy resolution says that if reserves and or fund balances fall below required levels as set by this policy, the county shall, it's not an option, include within its annual budget a plan to restore reserves and or fund balance to the required levels. My question to you as the board is, what's the plan?
And I'd answer back to you and say, we're working on it. We're having meetings, we're discussing it. It's not something, Steve, this is not something that you could just snap your fingers and come up with a.
Did I snap I did not snap my fingers. I just asked a straightforward question. No, let me finish.
No,
I
let me
asked a
finish.
straightforward question. Now you may finish.
All right, I'm done talking in this meeting.
So if we can for 1 minute. I do think we need to actively be working on the policy issue. As for the other, it's your barbecue.
I'm
Okay.
removing that
Okay,
phone.
so if that's removed, because I can see what you're saying, and
Mhm.
since it's not,
And it
it's
seems to be
literally
a
a debit
discussion
credit
each time.
thing on the side. So because, damn, that college course I did take did pay off, because I did recognize what that is, and I hate that debit credit thing.
So
So
I
that's
will-
gone.
I will suggest that we change the name of that net cash balance of that column that says we have 1.16 million deficit. That would be correct. I'm not disputing the number, but it is not a net cash balance. That is a net cash balance minus the
No.
reserve policy.
Yeah, it's I see where you're going again. I read it. It is,
A deficit?
It is a net cash balance when you subtract the policy reserve.
That's what I just said.
But
Right.
wait, it is and it isn't. It's a net budgeted cash. That's the difference. So it is still bad, it is still wrong, and we still need to work on it.
Right.
With that being said, it is a net budgeted cash balance because it is not expended yet, as you had pointed out and you pointed out.
I would rather say that.
Say net budgeted
Net
cash balance?
budgeted cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And with that, we still need to put it together because we have to address that.
Absolutely.
And so
And,
we'll
and
start
we're
there.
not, we actually are not, we're only at the, we only have a negative when we're at the peak of our policy reserves, because the policy says, I think 15 to
15 to
25.
25.
So it only falls below when you use that maximum number in that column. I'm not disagreeing that we need to address the spending rate. That's never been my argument. We do, but overstating the deficit doesn't do any good. It's meaningless, and it spreads panic.
Well, especially the 13 million and being credit debt. And again, I'm not a voting member on it, and I'm not even sure this is the place, but can we just agree to start finding a time to start making some time so we can just get together and start to go through that stuff, and then that question is moot also.
I do believe that Travis is beginning those,
Setting up the
having us
times.
three beginning that conversation.
Okay, so hopefully we'll set up
It's in the works.
a date here shortly and we'll do that.
Okay. I also wanted to make note that I'm just actively gathering feedback from fellow county treasurers across the state regarding how their finance committee reports are structured. And so in the future, I'm not making any changes now, but in the future, if there's some sort of like modification, nothing to be removed, I'd always bring it to the board if I was going to make any, drastic changes to the report. But I'm just letting you all know that I am in talks with the fellow treasurers just to align with how they, how their reports look. And if I feel that there might be some positive additions that can be made to the report, I'll report back to the committee and talk about that as well.
And I'm just speaking for myself.
We
but
have
this
treasurers
is
conference coming up in June, so.
This is yours. And again, I'm just speaking for
And I'm
myself.
trying to take
but
control,
we've all been
trying
doing it a
to,
long time. This is yours, and we take your lead on this stuff.
Yeah. And
Lisa
I have
was
a great
incredible.
mentor
I
still,
know.
she's still there for me too, but I also am trying to take ownership
she
of it
want
as
this
well.
in-
And,
Did she want this in there?
She does not.
Oh, well, okay.
We had the last conversation we had, she said, take it to the
Well,
board and
the
our
only
committee
reason
and
why I
have
was
a
asked
vote and.
Yeah, the only reason why I was asked that is she did. I'd want to know why.
She
what
she
saw.
said she has had just put it on there the last few quarters. It had historically in her whole time here not been on the report. So
She was
she
probably-
said to blame it on her.
Well, she was probably
I
trying to
wasn't
bring
gonna
our
say
attention.
that, but
She
that's
was
what
probably trying to bring our attention to it.
I think so, yeah. And just pointing out that maybe, looking at the reserve policy would be, a better thing
And
for
it is
the
important.
commission to look at.
We have a policy. If we don't follow, we get in trouble with the state auditor because we have to follow
Yes,
our policy. So it is.
A concern.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was my whole point, is we're not compliant right now with our policy.
But we
So-
will be.
But we are.
But we
You need to reread the policy. We have to be within 15 to 25%. We are at 25%, we have fallen out of compliance with the policy.
So we're not in
For this,
compliance.
for this quarter.
At the maximum level, that's true.
So either, it's
But
it's
this
an
policy
either or.
says between 15 and
It's
25%.
either we're compliant or we're not.
Okay, then we are.
We're not compliant. We're not compliant, and that's
Steve.
where the policy requires the board to take action. My only question is, what's the plan? Sharon says, okay, it's in progress. Okay.
Well, hopefully within by the next meeting, we will have a date where we'll start to go over these things. And on the policy, could you make sure that we get a fresh copy of the actual policy so we have it in our hands?
Is that the financial reserve and contingency policy?
Thank you.
Yes,
One
yes,
second.
this is it.
Thank you.
2025.
Which one is that? You got that one?
That's the most current one from
2025.
last year. Yep. Yes. Ignore all my highlighting on it.
Okay, so there's a.
May I see that one?
Yeah, I haven't finished reading, but there's a little provision in there that I just noticed with it. We shall include it in our budget.
Yeah, it's for next year.
Yeah, so the verbiage, so,
Which we have been.
and which we're about to do right now is we're starting to have this stuff, and we do budget all year long. So, but at the same time, it's time to include it in our budget discussions that we're having now. But it is not that.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I finish? I'm not finished reading.
And you and I have discussed this, that, yeah, we need to start doing things to address that issue. And my concerns that housing sales and revenue from community planning is probably going to drop, which is gonna be, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
So we need to address that, and I'm not skirting that issue.
Well, and we got one other thing that I just now, because I'm reading it right now, I just got to it, that we have to worry about. And we are out of compliance for something different than what you're saying. The county's annual general fund shall be adopted in positive, with expenditures not exceeding revenues. So when we adopted our last budget, we were outside of that because we adopted it with a negative.
I thought we were balanced. Pretty darn sure we were.
I don't think we did.
We adopted with a negative expenditure over revenue, without doubt. And the only one that showed anything on a positive was that one sheet that shouldn't have ever come to us without going through our other process. the actual budget is a negative by several million. Revenues versus expenditure. We'll look at it again, but if that's the case though, I should have known that myself, but I didn't obviously, because I wasn't paying. We're surviving it. And for myself, for my own excuse, when you're surviving it, you survive it. And you sometimes don't read this piece because I'm trying to make it, every little bit helps. And we negotiated a couple $1 million at the end. Instead, I said, thank you. And that's what sometimes you do. So, but I may have been wrong. So I'm going to have to get me a copy and read the whole thing again after all these years. But that's when we do this next. We already did what we're going to do. We just want to make sure we don't get a finding for the future. And they'll just tell us to correct. If we've corrected it before they say it, then we're fine. I think. You don't agree? I'd rather correct it before they find it.
And that's really my whole interest is when,
Discussions. I'm not gonna comment anymore, I'm just waiting for our next, for our discussion.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone ready to adjourn? Or I'm done.
did you need to get
Unless you have any other
approval?
questions or.
Did you need to get approval on the minutes? We didn't have a motion on that.
Oh, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the
From the first.
fourth quarter twenty
fourth quarter.
twenty-five? Fourth quarter twenty
Maybe
twenty-five.
a copy of what she has. Oh, you did, thank you.
You made a motion?
I made a motion. Can I make a motion?
So-
Or,
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
On a small
I'll
board, you
second
are
it.
allowed to make a motion.
am I, okay,
Okay, and I'll second it.
okay. All right, perfect. It's,
What's our motion about?
Two minutes?
to approve the minutes from
Okay.
the fourth quarter twenty twenty-five finance report. All right, okay, all right, do you have or do you do the motion to adjourn, or can I make the motion to adjourn?
Well, I think any of them.
Yeah, when there's less than 7 on
Okay.
a small board,
All right, so I'm setting a motion to adjourn
So-
the meeting at this time.
I don't think we've had
Do
the
I-
vote on
do I
the
have-
approval of the minutes. so-
We need to vote on the
I'm
motion.
sorry. Okay.
This is
I-
fun. You're
I
doing-
vote to approve
you're
the
doing
meeting
great.
minutes.
Don't worry.
Is that-
So we have that motion, we have a second, you need to call for the vote.
Yes.
Oh, just
All in
say,
favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye, okay.
Now you can,
Opposed?
now you
No.
can make a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Now you vote on that.
And we adjourned
All in
at
favor? Is it-
All in favor?
Aye.
11:20.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience with me.
No, you're doing great.
Don't worry about it.
You're doing